Emergency override. The Vexcorian cubs have breached containment. Council Chairman Vexthul's primary manipulator slammed against the emergency console, activating station-wide protocols that hadn't been used in 3 cycles. Around the emergency session table, 7 species representatives froze, their various forms of horror identical despite vastly different biologies. According to YouTube analytics, 99.3% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Impossible, Ambassador Zillax hissed, his crest flaring crimson. The diplomatic quarters have triple reinforced barriers. Those cubs can't... Sir, they're not in the diplomatic quarters. Security Chief Korvax's voice cracked through the comm system. They're in Cafeteria Section 7B. The council chamber erupted. 3 representatives immediately began evacuation procedures. 2 more activated personal shields. The Vexcorian ambassador's legs buckled, and he collapsed into his seat. How many casualties? Vexthul demanded, his voice tight. The last time Vexcorian cubs had escaped on a station, the death count reached 47 before emergency venting into space became necessary. Have you initiated sector isolation? Sir, that's the situation. Korvax sounded like he'd been struck in the head. There are no casualties. The cubs are sitting with a human cafeteria worker. They're eating from her lunch containers. Dead silence. Repeat that, Zillax whispered. The human, Emma Williams, day shift food service. She's sharing her midday meal with them. Sir, the cubs are purring, and the human just asked if they want more chicken nuggets. Ambassador Zillax was already running. Emma Williams hummed softly, breaking another chicken nugget in half. The 2 absolutely gorgeous cubs in front of her made little chirping sounds, their iridescent scales catching the cafeteria lights like living opals. Sure, they were bigger than any dog she'd seen, each one maybe 90 pounds of pure muscle and razor-sharp everything. But the way they tilted their heads when she talked? Adorable. There you go, sweetie, she cooed, offering a piece to the one with darker markings. And one for you too, honey. Fair's fair. The cubs took the food with surprising delicacy, their triple rows of crystalline teeth somehow managing not to even graze her fingers. The lighter one, she'd mentally named him Sonny, bumped his massive head against her arm and made a sound like a motorboat. Oh, you're welcome. I always pack extra anyway. My kids taught me that lesson. She laughed, scratching behind what she hoped were ears. Someone's always hungry at the wrong time, right? The cafeteria doors exploded inward. Emma jumped, and both cubs immediately positioned themselves in front of her, their purring cutting off. A massive alien that looked like a cross between a dragon and a velociraptor charged through, followed by what appeared to be an entire security team in full combat armor. Oh. Emma stood up, brushing crumbs off her uniform. Sorry, is this area restricted? The cubs seemed hungry, and I was just... Step away from the juveniles. Korvax's voice boomed through his helmet speakers, weapons charged with an ominous whine. Slowly, any sudden movement could trigger their attack response. Emma blinked. Attack response, these little guys? She looked down at the cubs, who were now making anxious clicking sounds. They're just babies. Look, they're scared of all the noise you're making. Those babies. Zillax panted, his translator barely keeping up with his rapid speech. Are Vexcorian apex predators. They've killed 9 trained handlers. 3 stations have been evacuated because of cubs exactly like these. They are considered the most dangerous juvenile life forms in council space. Emma stared at him, then at the cubs, then back at him. These two? She gestured at Sonny and his sibling, who were now pressed against her legs, trembling. You're telling me these sweethearts are supposed to be dangerous? They have torn through reinforced steel, Korvac said flatly. They can bite through combat armor. Their claws can shred blast doors. Human, you should not be alive right now. Emma looked down at the cubs again. Sonny looked up at her with huge, liquid eyes that practically screamed, "Please protect me from the scary armored people." His sibling, okay, she was calling her Luna, had actually climbed partially into Emma's lap. "Huh," Emma said. Then she shrugged and sat back down, wrapping an arm around each cub. Well, they were just hungry. Who leaves babies without snacks? That's basic childcare, guys. The cubs resumed purring. Every weapon in the room stayed trained on the trio. And Ambassador Zilax felt his entire understanding of cub-rearing crack straight down the middle. Ambassador Zilax stepped forward slowly, his crest pulsing through the traditional calming pattern, deep violet to soft amber, the sequence every Vexcorian knew from hatching. It had been used for 10,000 generations to soothe aggressive cubs. Both cubs ignored him completely. Sonny nuzzled deeper into Emma's side. The ritual should work, Zilax breathed. It's genetically encoded. They can't ignore it. Maybe they're busy? Emma offered, pulling a chocolate chip cookie from her lunch bag. She broke it carefully. Who wants dessert? Two pairs of crystalline eyes locked onto the cookie with laser focus. Cubs cannot process refined sugars, Korvac stated. It will make them violently ill, and they'll associate the human with... Both cubs gently took their pieces and ate with obvious delight, making happy chirping sounds. Huh, Emma said. Guess they can. Korvac's mandibles clicked in distress. Prepare sedation protocols, level 7 darts, maximum dispersal. Sedation? Emma's voice sharpened. You're going to drug them? They're not doing anything wrong. Human Williams, you don't understand. I understand you're about to shoot tranquilizers at babies who are literally just sitting here. Emma shifted, putting herself more squarely between the cubs and the security team. Both cubs pressed against her, their scales rippling with agitation. How about everybody just calms down? The specialized containment team chose that moment to arrive. 12 members in experimental armor that made Korvac's team look underdressed. Their leader carried equipment that hummed with enough charge to stop a cargo hauler. Luna growled, a sound like tearing metal. See? Emma said, glaring at the newcomers. They're just grumpy because everyone's wearing scary outfits. You're all stomping around like you're going to war, and they're picking up on that energy. That growl is a pre-attack warning, the containment leader said through his helmet. Standard protocol is immediate. Your protocol is terrifying children. Emma stood up, and both cubs immediately flanked her, their growls intensifying. Look, I pack extra lunch because people get hungry. My co-worker Janet, she's always forgetting snacks. My kids, they eat like locusts. You learn to bring more than you need. She gestured at the cubs. These two were hungry. I fed them. It's not complicated. They're responding to your vocal patterns, Korvac said slowly, his scanner active. Cubs don't respond to vocal patterns. They respond to pheromones and crest displays exclusively. Emma rolled her eyes. Okay, watch this. She pulled out another cookie, broke it in half, and held both pieces up. Sit. Sonny sat immediately, his haunches hitting the floor with a heavy thump. Wait, Emma said, holding her hand up in a stop gesture. Luna, halfway to sitting, froze. Good girl. Now sit. Luna sat. Emma gave them each a piece of cookie. Good babies, see? They're learning. The cafeteria had gone completely silent, except for the happy crunching sounds from two of the galaxy's most feared predators. That's... Zilax's translator struggled. That's impossible. Cubs don't have the cognitive framework for delayed gratification. They can't learn commands. Their brains aren't developed enough for... Well, these ones can. Emma was now scratching both cubs behind their head crests. Their purring rattled the nearby tables. Maybe you've just never tried treating them like they're smart. A hologram flickered to life. Council Chairman Vex Thule, with what appeared to be the entire emergency council behind him. Ambassador Zilax, explain how your cubs escaped diplomatic quarters and are now playing peekaboo with a human cafeteria worker. Because Emma had, in fact, started playing peekaboo. She covered her face with her hands, then dropped them. Peekaboo! Sonny's crest flared bright gold, pure joy, and he pounced forward, carefully placing his massive paws on her shoulders without extending a single claw. I see you, Emma laughed, hugging his neck. You found me. 3 senior xenobiologists materialized via emergency transport, scanners already active. The lead scientist, a crystalline being named Zelaya, completed a full spectral analysis in seconds. Genetic markers confirmed, Zelaya announced, her voice like wind chimes. These are genuine Vexcorian cubs, approximately 40 solar days old. Hormone levels indicate this is wrong. Their aggression markers are at 0. Cortisol baseline, oxytocin elevated. These readings match. She paused, recalibrating. Domesticated companion animals. That's impossible, 3 voices said simultaneously. Emma, oblivious to the cosmic implications of her lunch break, was now teaching Luna to high-five. It worked on the first try. Lead xenobiologist Kaeldra arrived with enough scanning equipment to outfit a small research station. Her 4 optical stalks swiveled independently, each locked onto a different bioscan of the cubs, while her manipulators flew across holographic displays. Adrenaline levels, minimal. Cortisol, baseline. Testosterone, appropriate for age but not elevated. Aggression hormones, she recalibrated twice. 0, functionally 0. Her stalks turned toward Emma in perfect synchronization. This is biologically impossible. Cubs at this developmental stage should be in a permanent hunting frenzy. Their neural chemistry doesn't allow for calm behavior. Well, clearly it does. Emma had graduated to belly rubs. Both cubs were on their backs, making sounds like purring chainsaws, their legs kicking contentedly. Look at them. Do they look like they're in a hunting frenzy? But they can't. The research is definitive. Kaeldra's displays flickered with decades of data. Every study, every observation, every documented case shows cubs are uncontrollable until maturity. It's fundamental Vexcorian biology. Maybe your research is wrong? Emma suggested. I mean, I just treated them like any hungry kids. Fed them, talked nice, gave them some attention. She shrugged. Not exactly rocket science. You treated them like hungry kids, Zilax repeated slowly. You're saying you have experience with juvenile care? I'm a daycare teacher back on Earth. 20 years, ages 2 through 5. Plus, I've got 4 kids of my own, 3 teenagers and a 7-year-old. Emma grinned. Trust me, I know hangry when I see it. These 2 were just hungry and probably scared out of their minds with all the alarms and running around. Korvax's mandibles clicked rapidly. You applied human childcare techniques to Vexcorian apex predator cubs. I applied common sense to scared babies, yeah. But the feeding protocols alone. Zilax's crest had gone pale gray. Cubs must be fed in isolation, their food scattered to encourage competitive... Wait. Emma's hand stilled on Luna's belly. The cub made a questioning chirp. You feed them alone, and you make them compete for food. It builds strength, Zilax said. But his voice had gone uncertain. It's how we've always... You what? Emma stood up so fast both cubs scrambled to their feet, alarmed by her tone. She immediately softened her voice. It's okay, babies. I'm not mad at you. Then, to Zilax, you're telling me you take babies, and lock them up by themselves and make them fight for food. It's traditional Vexcorian. It's abuse. Emma's voice cracked with genuine horror. They're infants. They need comfort, security, consistent care. No wonder they're aggressive. You're literally traumatizing them. The cafeteria had gone silent. Even the holographic council members seemed frozen. But centuries of practice. Zilax's crest flickered through confused patterns. Our strongest warriors were raised this way. It's proven to make them violent, you mean? Emma scooped up a piece of her sandwich. Look, watch. She held it out. Sunny, Luna, come here, sweeties. Both cubs approached, and here's where Emma demonstrated something the galactic experts had never considered. She made them wait until they were both in position, then gave them each a piece simultaneously from her hands, while speaking in warm, encouraging tones. They ate calmly. No snatching, no aggression. They even looked at each other peacefully. You feed them together, Kaldra whispered. At the same time, from a position of trust. Of course I do. They're siblings. They should feel safe with each other, not like they're competing. Emma scratched both cubs. Right, babies? Two happy chirps answered her. Our entire cub-rearing methodology? Zilia's chimes sounded discordant. Centuries of cultural practice. Is probably why they grow up violent, Emma finished bluntly. She sat back down, and both cubs immediately climbed into her lap, all 180 pounds of apex predator curled up like oversized puppies. They don't want to leave now, do they? No, Zilax said hollowly. They've imprinted on you, on the wrong species. This is a diplomatic incident, Vexthul announced from the hologram. The ambassador's cubs have bonded with a human cafeteria worker. Our protocols have no procedure for Ambassador Zilax to council. Zilax interrupted, his voice shaking. I formally request human childcare consultation, immediately. Emma just sighed, pulling out another cookie. You guys are making this way more complicated than it needs to be. Luna licked her hand. The galaxy's understanding of child development cracked wide open. Emma settled cross-legged on the cafeteria floor. Both cubs sprawled across her lap like the world's most dangerous blankets. The assembled experts, security forces, and council holograms watched in silence as she methodically unpacked her philosophy. Okay, so here's the thing. She offered Luna a piece of apple, which the cub accepted with surprising delicacy. Babies, and I don't care what species we're talking about, need three basic things: food, safety, and love. It's pretty universal. But Vexcorian cubs are fundamentally different, Kaldra started. Are they? Emma interrupted gently. Because from where I'm sitting, they act exactly like scared toddlers. They were hungry, so I fed them. They were anxious, so I used a calm voice. They needed boundaries, so I taught them sit and wait. She demonstrated again, and both cubs performed flawlessly. Positive reinforcement works on human kids, works on dogs, apparently works on apex predator cubs. Zillax had lowered himself to the floor, his crest cycling through colors Emma couldn't identify. But our traditions, the strength training, the isolation protocols, the competitive feeding, we believed it made them resilient. It made them traumatized, Emma corrected, not unkindly. Look, I get it. Traditions are hard to question. But sometimes we do things because that's how it's always been done, not because it's actually good for the kids. She scratched behind Sonny's crest, and he made a sound of pure contentment. These guys aren't monsters. They were just scared and hungry. Demonstrate the games, Zilia requested, her chimes eager. The gentle games you mentioned. Emma grinned. Okay, watch this. Sonny, Luna, want to play? Both cubs' crests brightened. Emma held up her closed fist. Which hand? Luna carefully bopped Emma's left hand with her nose. Emma opened it, empty. Ooh, try again. Luna bopped the right hand. Emma opened it to reveal a cookie piece. Good girl. The cubs were playing a guessing game, with choices, with patience, with joy. They're playing, Korvac said, his voice stunned. They're taking turns. Of course they are. They're smart, they're social, and they respond to engagement. Emma set up another round. You guys have been treating them like weapons when you should have been treating them like children. Council Chairman Vex Thul's hologram stepped forward. Human Williams, the Council formally requests a comprehensive report on human childcare methodologies. Your techniques appear to have applications across multiple species. I can write something up, sure. Emma shrugged. But honestly, it's just common sense and patience. The Vex-Corian Empire would like to offer you a diplomatic position, Zillax said suddenly. Chief Consultant for Juvenile Development, full ambassadorial status, residence in the capital, salary commensurate with... Oh, that's sweet, but no thanks. Emma smiled. I've got my cafeteria job, and I like it. Plus, my kids on Earth would kill me if I moved to another planet. But you could revolutionize how we raise our young. You can revolutionize it yourselves. Just, try being nice to them. Emma stood, and both cubs stood with her. Now, let's get these two back to their quarters. Come on, babies. Time to go home. They won't go, Korvac said. They're imprinted. They'll resist. Emma started walking toward the door. Sonny, Luna, come on. Both cubs trotted after her like well-trained dogs. The entire security team scrambled to follow, but Emma just led a calm parade back to the diplomatic quarters. At the door, she knelt down and hugged both cubs. You're going to be okay, sweeties. Your dad's going to take better care of you now. Right, Ambassador? Yes, I will. Zillax's voice cracked. I swear it. Emma kissed both cubs on their head crests. Be good. I'll bring you lunch tomorrow, okay? The cubs chirped agreement and, miraculously, walked calmly into their quarters. As the doors sealed, holographic messages were already flooding in from across Council space. The Thoraxian Collective wanted consultation on their aggressive hatchlings. The Morphid Unity needed advice on their larval aggression problems. 7 different species were requesting human consultation protocols. Station Commander Vex Thul issued an emergency directive. All juvenile alien behavioral issues would now include mandatory human childcare assessment. Emma Williams, cafeteria worker, had just rewritten Galactic Developmental Psychology. And she did it with chicken nuggets and common sense. So, Korvac said carefully, tomorrow's consultation requests are already at 47 cases. Emma checked her watch. My shift ends in 20 minutes. Tell them to submit a form or something. She walked away, leaving a transformed galaxy in her wake. 3 days later, the council chambers looked less like a governing body and more like an academic conference. Holographic representatives from 47 species filled every available space, all waiting for the human cafeteria worker to finish her shift. The Galactic Childcare Summit will convene in 6 solar weeks, Vexthul announced. Attendance is mandatory for all species with documented juvenile behavioral issues. The human expert will deliver the keynote address. "I'm not an expert," Emma said through a mouthful of the sandwich she was eating at the back of the chamber. "I'm just a daycare teacher." "You resolved a crisis that has plagued the Vexcorian Empire for millennia," Zilax countered. His crest had regained its color, though it now flickered with what Emma had learned was embarrassment. "In under an hour, with lunch. And now the cubs ask for you specifically," Kaldra added. "Their developmental progress in 3 days exceeds what we expected in 3 months. They're learning commands, playing cooperatively, and haven't shown a single aggressive behavior." Emma shrugged. "That's just what happens when you're nice to kids." "We're offering you the title of Juvenile Crisis Consultant," Vexthul said. "Permanent position, full diplomatic clearance, access to—" "Unpaid," Emma interrupted. The council chamber went silent. "I'm sorry?" Vexthul's translator seemed uncertain. "If you're giving me a title, it's unpaid. I like my cafeteria job. I like my salary. I like going home at the end of my shift." Emma grinned. "But if some baby aliens need help, sure, I'll stop by after I clean the lunch dishes." Within the week, Station 7B's cafeteria had become the unofficial solution center for difficult juveniles. The Thoraxian hatchling that had injured 3 handlers sat calmly while Emma fed it pureed vegetables and sang something she called "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." The morphid larvae that had been labeled irredeemably violent played gentle catching games with rolled-up napkins. Emma's lunch routine, the simple act of packing extra food and sharing it kindly, had been officially classified by the xenobiology community as a universal pacification method. Academic papers were being written. Dissertations were being revised. Entire university departments were questioning their foundational assumptions. And Emma just kept making sandwiches. "Ambassador Zilax is implementing your protocols empire-wide," Korvax informed her one morning. "All cubs will now be raised in social groups, fed consistently, given positive reinforcement. He's calling it the Williams method. He can call it whatever he wants, as long as those babies get treated better." Emma was packing her lunch bag, extra portions, as always. "Are Sunny and Luna coming by today?" "They've been waiting at the cafeteria door since 0600 hours." Emma laughed. "Of course they have." She found them there, pressed against the transparent door, their crests brightening the moment they saw her. When she opened the door, they didn't pounce or attack. They waited, just like she'd taught them, until she gave the okay. Then they rushed forward for gentle head bumps and excited chirps. "Hey, babies. Miss me?" She scratched behind their crests while pulling out containers. "I brought proper snacks today. Real food, not just my lunch. Got some of that Thoraxian protein paste Kaldra said you'd like." Zilax arrived moments later, watching with an expression Emma had learned was Vexcorian wonder. "My people are already reporting changes. Cubs that were considered unmanageable are thriving under the new protocols. We're seeing cooperation, learning, even affection." "That's great." Emma distributed snacks. "See? Told you they just needed some TLC. The Empire owes you a debt beyond measure. You owe me nothing. Just be nice to your kids." She stood, wiping her hands on her apron. "Now, I've got a lunch rush to prep for. You two be good for your dad, okay? The cubs whimpered as she walked away. I'll be back tomorrow, Emma called over her shoulder. Same time, better snacks. Later, during her break, Emma sent a video message to her kids on Earth. Her daughter answered immediately. Mom, how's the space station? Oh, you know, same old, same old. Emma grinned. Chuckles. Though I babysat alien wolf tigers today, they were sweet, ate all their vegetables. Mom, you're making that up. Nope, totally serious. Remember how I always said bring extra lunch, you never know who'll be hungry? Well, turns out that rule actually saved lives this week, multiple lives. Possibly prevented an interstellar incident. Her daughter laughed. Okay, now I know you're messing with me. Believe what you want, sweetie. Love you. Emma ended the call, packed up her containers, and headed back to work. Just another day. The galaxy would never be the same, but Emma's shift wasn't over yet, and those dishes weren't going to wash themselves. The end.